right, I think everyone can see my screen now. Yes?
Yes, we see it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, we're going to start with some staff updates, and then I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Kelly for some other updates. So just want to make you all aware, we have a new employee who started last Monday, Ms. Rena Rodriguez. She is our instructional course and program catalog management coordinator. That's a mouthful. What that title is covering is she is going to be our primary point of contact in curriculum, continuing ed, and the CCR group for course building, catalog management, all things that interface with colleague and the website. So we are very grateful to have her joining our team. And if I've got anybody from Wake Tech on the call, she's a former Wake Tech person. So again, grateful to have her as a part of the staff. And some other updates just to keep you all in the loop. We've got 2 vacancies posted right now. One that is the curriculum compliance coordinator. And you see the deadline to apply for that one is March 29th. And then we have the Career and College Promise Coordinator position open. And the deadline is the very next day, March 30th. And there's a link on the slide for folks that might be interested to apply. If you have any questions about these opportunities, just let us know. But again, 2 vacancies in the program area. And there may be others coming soon. So very excited for people to get new opportunities and retire and have promotions, but that often leaves our team looking for some changes and some other staff members to join. All right, now we'll turn it over to Dr. Kelly for TAC updates and student service updates.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Dr. Eads. And you could go to the next slide. Thank you. So I just want to let everybody know quickly this afternoon about the TAC updates and some of their activities. They've had 2 successful site visits to UNCP and Fayetteville State University. As you know, the CAA requires a review of on-campus site visits to the UNC system schools, and those 2 site visits were successful. There were some minor recommendations, however, nothing that would be considered findings as far as that's concerned with those visits. So they're doing some good work there. And especially in some of their partnerships with local community colleges in those areas. You may recall also that we had a recent survey concerning the ENG and the TEX courses about moving them to the transfer list. We're waiting on a feedback from the UNC system before a final decision is made by the TAC and recommendation moving forward to the chief academic officers. The system chief academic officers. And so we're still waiting on the UNC system to complete their survey. So hopefully we'll have a final decision about that at the next TAC meeting. I did want to mention that the TAC is doing a little more work than the typical conducting the site visits and reviewing courses. The TAC is also very much engaged in some working groups that were established based on the last CAA update report that they did last year. And that is doing some more research with the BDPs and also looking at the CAA language and then also looking at potential data sharing ideas between sister community colleges and also between sectors with our UNC system partners. So there's some very interesting research going on there. And I'm sure that there will be some basic updates at the TAC update in the joint conference later on this week. So that's a plug to attend that workshop. If you're going to Greensboro on Thursday and Friday, there will be a great TAC update there. I do want to give a brief UNC update in reference to their course numbering system. They're referring to that as CNS. And they are projecting that they will have phase 1 completed by the end of the spring semester. What that means is that they have aligned their UNC courses between their sister institutions, and then phase 2 will begin alignment conversations and faculty groups with the community college system, hopefully this summer or this coming fall. So keep your eyes open for opportunities to participate in those alignment conversations to make sure that we can look at our courses in alignment with the UNC courses, and to hopefully the goal would be to have some, whenever possible, to have course by course alignment to make sure that we improve the course by course transfer of our students. So that's the ultimate goal, which is probably years away. However, the beginning steps of all of that is the CNS numbering system at the UNC system. So I'll pause there to see if there's any questions about those updates from the TAC. Okay, thank you. I'll have a question in the chat, and I'll read that since there's some people on the telephone. Will the TAC be working on the teacher prep AA and AS? There's been some discussion of not all of the EDU classes counting in the major and some missing transfer requirements. There are conversations about the CAA and how the CAA only covers the AA and the AS. However, we do have a lot of AAS and non-traditional college transfer programs that do transfer to the universities. And so what does that mean? So we've had lots of conversations about how we can work better with some of the other alignment groups that are in place to assist in making those transfers better for all of our students. So is there any action items in place? Are there any plans in place? Not yet. Everything's just kind of being discussed. And then I see that Lisa has some updates there as well on the teacher prep. That'll come up here in a few minutes. So I hope that answers your question, Maggie. Yep, thank you. You're welcome. Next slide, please. So a couple of things I do want to update you guys at the Chief Academic Officers, even though it's kind of on the student services side, is you may be aware that the Underserved Student Outreach and Advising Project, which was part of the Longleaf Commitment Community College Grant, those allocations were made at a couple of months ago in board meetings, in our state board meeting. The delay in opening up for application and requesting for funding has been that there is a requirement for us to establish at the system office a monitoring and reporting plan. And so we're developing that monitoring and reporting plan. And we didn't want to have the colleges apply or request funding without knowing what the monitoring and reporting expectations would be. So once we get those monitoring and reporting plans completed, then we will open it up for requests for funding. The Minority Male Success Initiative, the RFPs are still under review, and they hope to have those coming soon. I think Dr. Evans and his team is hoping to have those RFPs reviewed and to the board meeting in April. So he's on target with that, and hopefully we can have some announcements out for allocations at the end of April. And last but not least, I want to mention that the Longleaf Commitment Grant in the most recent budget bill was expanded to the 2022 high school graduates. The eligibility requirements, the workflows, everything is the same as the previous Longleaf Commitment Grants. It's just now eligible for the 2022 high school graduates. And Mark, I see your question. Can you clarify about the eligible use of these funds? I think you're referring to the Underserved Student Outreach and Advising Project. Those funds are very broad, very similar to the student support services grant that we had last year. So there will be a budget requirement from each college, and then the college will have to identify their underserved student population. Remember that could be very broad. That could be students with disabilities. It could be a specific racial or ethnic group, or pretty much any population in your community that you've identified as underserved and needing additional assistance. And then based upon that identified need, the college will present a plan to us on how they will use these funds to initiate a project to meet that need. So as long as the monies are clearly identified that they're meeting the need, then I think it would be things would be open. So that could be technology purchases, That could be personnel. I think pretty much we're open to hearing anything as long as it's very clearly related to meeting the need. Hope that answered your question, Mark.
Yeah, I think it does. I think that the one thing that it talked about assistance for access, and so that kind of brought my question forward because in some cases we built a lot of the support systems around because we've got a couple of initiatives going forward, but the challenge we always run into are things that the individuals can't afford, either the tuition or the transportation or things of that nature.
And I think, Mark, you're thinking down the right category. Everything you just mentioned, I think, would be open and would just need to be directly connected to meeting that need. And I would also say that we've clarified that the outreach would include improving access for your underserved students. So that could be recruitment initiatives, that could be marketing initiatives, and those kind of things as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? All right, Lisa, I think that was my last slide.
All right. Well, and if you have questions that come up as we're moving through this presentation slides today, Dr. Kelly, you'll be on the PowerPoint. I mean, you'll be on the call just a little bit longer, right? In case there are other questions that come up, you'll be in the chat.
Yes, ma'am. I'll stay on until the end.
Okay, thank you. All right, Dr. Bob, you're up.
Thank you, Lisa. Am I up?
Yes, sir, you're there.
Beautiful. I got 6 updates for you today. The first one is we are working, well, let's look and see what the schedule says. Grant monitoring. We are in the process of undergoing grant monitoring. I really want to thank the chief academic officers for their help in this. We've emailed to some 60, well, I guess some are duplicate colleges in terms of looking at equipment monitoring. If you spent over 60% of your Perkins budget on equipment, we're taking a closer look at it. That's a desk monitoring. And also staff. If you've hired a lot of staff in the grant, we sent you some forms to back up the documentation. Again, we do this monitoring because 90% of the disallowed costs happen in the area of equipment being misused or staff. So we're going to be doing that. Then we're doing site monitoring, which is coming up, and we've identified about 5 colleges that will actually come out and do site monitoring. Something just happened to my note. High school to community college articulation agreement. We're happy to have Mary working with us on that. Mary, as you know, Chris retired, and we're in the process right now of our consultants here working with the DPI consultants to identify courses. We're working very closely with Michelle. She helped us take a look at the existing articulation agreement processes and procedures, and we're combining both the local agreement and the state agreement and those processes into one document. We'll be meeting with a leadership team to take a look at that. Our main concern is that we follow all the SACS rules and regulations as we align the courses. We anticipate many more courses being done locally. We will have a webinar on the process of review within the next month, I believe, and we'll be inviting you to take part in that because we're asking our chief academic officers to identify faculty to work with high school faculty to make sure the courses align and get your vote on it. It's an arduous process that we go through, but that's the articulation. Perkins 101. Tony and I just worked on that this morning. We're updating that. Really, Perkins 101 is a chance to take a look at 47 different elements when you manage a federal grant and its relationship to Perkins. As many of you know, if you've got HERP funds and other funds, there's a lot of things you have to have in place to avoid monitoring or to avoid disallowed costs. We go over most of those in Perkins 101. So we'll be having that. We're offering that both virtually, which you feel free to tune in on. We're using GoToMeeting, so we'll be recording it, and that will be on April the 13th. And then we will also be doing it in person during the Skills USA conference in Greensboro on April the 28th. But that's Perkins 101, the background of managing a federal grant and how it works. The annual meeting will be coming up, and that's going to be done virtually. We'll be doing that on April the 19th. 3 days later of the other virtual meeting. And we'll also do that in person in Greensboro on the 29th during the Skills USA conference also. That's a chance for you to, especially new folks, to sit down and hear how you manage the Perkins Grant, how we meet the required activities, the role of the comprehensive needs assessment, and just to get feedback. We're twisting that a little bit. We're going to get a lot of people participating in that so you can get many different views on how people are implementing Perkins across the state. A lot of the work that we're doing right now can be blended with other federal funds that you have or other state funds, and we want you to understand that and how to do that to get the best bang for your buck. The bottom line is we're trying to get students jobs when they finish our 2-year technical program or a diploma, and or also get a post-secondary credential. The next area, we do online training for Perkins that's done on a monthly basis. It's the second Tuesday of every month. We try to have interesting topics and have interesting speakers. And we do a career pathway webinar. In fact, tomorrow we're doing one on HVAC, and yours truly here is going to be interviewing several people. We got some great colleges. Thank you very much for your response. We sent memos out to about 12 colleges, 3 responded, and we're going to be interviewing our deans of those programs along with employers that they work with and students on how to keep your house cool in the summer and warm in the winter, and also refrigeration and the importance of refrigeration and how it's taken off in our HVACR programs. Thank you, Lisa. Oh, I could mention, I don't have down here just the leadership projects. Oh, that's the next slide. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, great. Thank you. Abler training is a very interesting training we finally got processed and through. It's been developed by a gentleman with disabilities, and what it takes a look at is it helps a team from your college of a faculty person, a special pops person, and an employer look at and understand physical and mental disabilities, understand etiquette in working with individuals in that program, building a business case for inclusion in the program, and also making the workplace more inclusive. Different strategies will be taking part in that training, and I believe we're booked on that right now. We have e-counsel training with Cisco cybersecurity coming up. In fact, even our new cybersecurity folks have asked to take part in that. I think Dr. LaHood and Dr. Regai have put together a great training program there as we look at hacking, storming, and determining the vulnerability of your systems. This will be taught to faculty who will be teaching students, but we also have some IT professionals that have asked to take part in that. You already heard about Apple Swift training. I don't have to go into that. Career coach training, we'll be doing some work on that in terms of trying to enhance our career development skills of folks that are working out there. We have BLET training, I can't say it, on policing and also on marketing the program to students. We got an early childhood phase 2. Mary has really delved into this professional development and leadership, and she's bringing another group together at Caraway to try to upgrade that curriculum. We're really happy to see that taking place when our consultants can work with faculty in the field and get their input as we redesign and upgrade the curriculum. I'd like to thank Michelle for working with us on that. She's been a great partner. She's the director of our curriculum now, and she'll also be on our call tomorrow as we look at HVAC. Thank you, Lisa. Do I have any questions?
I was going to ask if there are any questions for Bob.
I don't see anything in the chat. And we will go over eligibility of those funds if you have any questions, and we'll talk about blending them with other federal dollars. So that might be interesting.
We've got a question
Thank you.
from Dr. Short about the schedule of the professional development opportunities. Dr. Short, that's a great question, and we didn't put dates on there because we've been right up to the wire getting through the contract process that we have internally. So those, I think the EC Council dates have gone out to you all as you've nominated faculty for that. Is that correct, Dr. LaHood?
Yes, and check. Jaime, you can answer that.
Yes, that's correct. Actually, the professional development is taking place this week on Thursday and Friday at Forsyth Technical Community College. We do have more than 20 college represented, 20 colleges represented, and we do have Cisco cybersecurity, training, and we have EC Council cybersecurity training taking place simultaneously at Forsyth. So looking forward to seeing your faculty there this week.
Dr. Yes, thank you very much. Lisa, also on our ncperkins.org website, we have all the training outlined, and every month we do a update on everything that we're doing. If you want to go to the end of that video, we highlight each one of the leadership trainings that are taking place, where they're going to be, and a little bit about the training. So they could pick that up on a video very quickly also, where we explain a little bit more detail what we're doing with leadership. We appreciate the chief academic officers suggesting many of these topics to us, and we were able to develop these programs thanks to your giving us the ideas. Perkins' bottom line is to enhance what we already have and to enhance the skills and credentials of our faculty through your basic grant, but also to push the envelope a little bit like Dr. LaHood's doing and like Mary is doing in some of the programs Dr. Oliveira is doing on our programs. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. And also just to clarify, the Abler dates, we will get those out to you shortly, as well as the Apple Swift training dates as will be forthcoming. So we'll send those out to this CAO listserv as soon as
we're waiting for all the contracts to get signed and everything in place. We've had to shift the dates twice, so please stick with us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to keep rolling along. I think our next updates are from Miss Michelle Lair.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Tuesday. I'm grabbing my camera, but I did want to acknowledge there was a question that was listed that I don't believe was addressed unless I missed it. And it was from Mark Sorrells about clarifying eligible use of funds. I didn't want to miss that in case it was.
JW's section, and I think answered,
okay.
I believe.
All right, perfect. Want to make sure I didn't miss anybody, but again, good afternoon. We're going to spend some time looking at some of our CCP and CIHS updates. You guys know I got two rolls going on right now, so we're going to roll through both of them pretty quickly. The first one here is around CCP and CIHS. As was shared a little bit earlier, we do have that coordinator position posted, and I'm overly joyed for that. So hopefully that role will get filled soon, and I'm encouraging you to share it with folks on your campuses or others who may have interest in that opportunity. Project updates, lots of projects going on and juggling those. The CCP research grant work is still underway, and the work continues with that. We have an annual report coming up that's due the end of this month, updating some of the work that group is bringing forward. So it's moving. We also have the CTE infographic that we've been working on. It's really a great way to showcase some of the findings coming out of that CCP research that we've done. So what I would like to do is have that sent out with this slide deck so that you guys have that and are able to share it abroad. We also have college transfer and cooperative innovative high school infographics that are under development as well. And as soon as we have those completed, we will also forward those along so that you can share them abroad as well. It's really a great way. The intended audience is for students and parents and folks who may not have a tremendous amount of knowledge regarding the program. It's really a great way, again, to showcase the benefits of it and to help them sort of understand what opportunities are there. Last but not least, under the updates are some updates regarding our CCP advisory board. That group actually meets tomorrow. We had work groups that took a look at the CCP operating procedures. I'm eternally grateful for the work that those work groups have put in, and I just received actually right before this meeting some of the work from those groups that is going to be combined so that we can begin to work collaboratively through our summer and fall update for those operating procedures, and then of course advance those updates to our leadership here for their review so that we can get that out to the colleges as well. So I commend each of you for having some folks on your campuses serve, and some of you actually on this call serving as a part of those work groups. Your expertise, your insight is much appreciated. Some board and legislative updates are listed here for you. Just quick reminders that the annual report has actually cleared both boards now. You may recall it cleared our board in February, goes to the State Board of Education in March, and now will move to, or actually has already moved to, the Joint Legislative Education Oversight Committee. So that was due on March 15, and of course we made that date. We also have some new reporting requirements. This annual report has been a lift, and it is a lift each year that we're pretty much able to shoulder here at the system office. But I will tell you that there were some additional pieces that were added in this latest legislative bill that will require us actually getting some information that will come from you at campuses. So more to come on that. We'll probably hold a webinar for that in the summer as we work to determine the best route and I guess format really to collect that data from you that we will need for next year's annual report. So more to come, and just look for information about that webinar that will provide those details. And then also that has cleared our board and is moving forward now to General Assembly are the new Cooperative Innovative High School applicants. We had two, if you recall, from Edgecombe Community College and Wake Tech Community College. Cleared our board in February, cleared the State Board of Education in March, and now move forward to the General Assembly. The deadline for that is in April, that we get that information to them. So they have the final say in terms of approving the operation of those and the additional funding or for those to open in 2022, 2023. So on our next slide, we have some information regarding the Rise Up initiative. You may recall we mentioned this, I think, briefly at the last meeting. There were monies allocated also in the most recent budget bill, $250,000 to be exact, to offer this opportunity to our cooperative innovative high school students to take part in some training and some credential assessments to allow them to earn credentials, workforce credentials around retail and work within retail, everything from supply chain to actual sort of front-facing customer service sort of skills. And so we've been working with the organization, the Merchants organization, to work through all the particulars of this. We have identified a college that will act as sort of the fiduciary for the disbursement of those funds, which is Lenore Community College. So thank you for that. You will see that the initiative, the time period to have those monies spent is actually by June 30 of this year. So as you can imagine, that's a little bit of a lift, but we're working through that. We have reporting requirements in October of this year, as well as in October of 2023. So you'll have the slides here that will give you greater details and a link for you to be able to take a look at some of the curriculum that is a part of this particular, the modules that will be offered to students. You'll see that 600 cooperative innovative students have opportunity to take part in that, and you'll be receiving information about how to access those funds if you are interested. And certainly any questions, please let me know. Our next slide brings us to some reminders about opportunities for folks on your campus to stay connected with CCP and everything sort of dual enrollment. As you know, it is a fast-moving area with seemingly something always going on. You'll see our First Friday Forum that is coming up actually the 1st of April. This is an opportunity for them to really ask those questions. I clear my calendar and spend time with the staff across the state who are serving in roles that are CCP serving. So please make sure your folks on your campus are aware of that opportunity. We also have joint webinars that we do in collaboration with North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. And you see the dates there listed for those. Those links are sent to our CCP listserv, which I believe is probably on the next slide if we go to that. So that if you do have folks who are not a part of that listserv, sorry, I skipped over one, I apologize, who are not a part of that listserv, we have links embedded here so that they can join it. I always send out the meeting links to the listserv so that they have that availability. I guess we need to slide back to one slide. I apologize for jumping ahead there, but we do have a save the date that's listed here as well. This is a new approach to what had traditionally been the Cooperative Innovative High School Leadership Institute. This year, NCDPI has decided to expand that to include our CCP pathways as well as our Cooperative Innovative High School leadership in this particular institute. The dates are listed there for you, May 26 and 27. It will be a virtual convening, so a little bit of ease there in terms of joining in. I encourage you to share this with the folks on your campus. This is primarily geared towards our LEA folks who are serving in those roles. However, as you know, your Cooperative Innovative High School folks sort of serve in that middle ground, that role of liaising between the K-12 partner, the K-12 school rather, and the community college. So I'm sure they have this information, but in the event that they don't, we just wanted to make sure that you had it to share so that they could take part in the Leadership Institute coming up this spring. I think I'm going to roll into role 2 now. My other role now, if I remember correctly, is we're coming up on academic program updates, right? Yes. All right. So I'm going to keep going. Can you guys get a picture of what my day is like these days? I'm rolling between 2 things, but needless to say, it's all good. Right here, we have our credit for prior learning update. This is something that we have a meeting for this week. As you remember or may recall, all of that went forward in terms of the policy for credit for prior learning, but the work for the crosswalks and all the logistical kind of pieces are underway. Our program coordinators have worked with various subject areas and folks to really start building out some of those crosswalks. I believe the first ones that will be going forward and will be coming actually to you guys for votes in March and April will be the crosswalks for our IB and possibly AP. Crosswalks will be coming to you so that we can have those ready for the CCRC meeting in May. So just keep an eye out in your email for that information because as soon as we're able to forward that to you, we will definitely make sure to get it forward. Credit for prior learning, I think, is important work because we certainly want to ensure that our students have the most expeditious way possible to make it through our programs and on to their next thing. Our next slide is for teacher prep updates. So we are excited to say that the EPP application, which it was in parentheses here, think about it as lateral entry 2.0, is actually with the State Board of Education right now. It's been a lengthy process, almost a year plus now, well, a little over a year in the doing or in the making, but it is currently due to be heard at the State Board of Education on their April agenda, which is coming up here in a couple of weeks. So if all goes well with that, and we certainly hope that it does, we as a system will be approved as an educator preparation program, and then we will be engaging in work probably throughout the spring and the summer to have some things ready for you guys who are interested in offering the residency certificate. So more to come post that State Board of Education meeting in April. The next reminder is regarding the AATP and ASTP programs of study. As we know, many of you are working through getting those programs of study entered. I have a reminder here regarding the pre-major coursework in those. Just a reminder that can't be added to the program of study, obviously, except for the EDU courses that are included there on the standard. And so I do believe, especially in light of some of the questions that we had earlier, which were great ones given a meeting that we had last week regarding this, and some of the challenges around the AATP and ASTP for our students. I'm going to actually hand it over to Lisa, I think, who has some more information or additional information, I think, regarding that.
Absolutely, and thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing these updates. There's so much going on with teacher prep, it's kind of hard to keep up with, but I just wanted to let you all know we are aware of some of the challenges regarding the implementation of the new articulation agreement for teacher prep. Some of that I think is coming from, it's a broad agreement and it's intended to be K-12 licensure. So we're hearing some things around courses either not transferring or they accept them as electives, and we're trying to confirm that, okay, electives are fine if they count towards completion of the program, and we want our students to not have additional coursework beyond what's required for the major once they transfer. So we are taking those concerns to our university partners. Laura Bill-Roberry and Eric Fotheringham with UNC and I have been in some email threads, so we will be certainly following up with a meeting to discuss some of the concerns that I've already sent to them. And then the last 2 days I've been with the independent colleges. They're very excited about teacher prep, but I know we've had some questions about pre-major courses and certain institutions requiring certain courses, and if there's not room for them in the curriculum standard, when do they take them? How do they take them? Also, perhaps say like a health class, if it's not offered online, but it's a requirement, if they're not taking that with us, how do students complete? So we've got some wrinkles, some small, I won't call them speed bumps, just some small little bumps in the road that we will certainly work through. So I want to first say thank you to those that have sent concerns or sent questions about the AA and ASTP articulations and or programs of study. But we encourage you to continue to send those. If you don't mind sending those to my attention and copying Michelle, and you're certainly welcome to copy Dr. Brown as well. We're keeping him in the loop so that we're working through those. And we're also in process of creating a list of recommendations for the committee. So these two programs are under a separate articulation. I think that was a question earlier about the TAC. So the TAC doesn't govern teacher prep, though we overlap with TAC in some of the gen ed questions or some of the gen ed opportunities. So there'll be a faculty / perhaps chief academic officer committee. So the articulation is not specific to faculty reps. So we'll probably have a mix of both, and certainly there'll be rotations. So if you're interested, some of you have already shared that interest with me, but certainly send your interest my way. Everybody's going to get a chance to serve, so just know that if you're interested and don't get selected for the first round of opportunity for that committee, we certainly will welcome you in future years. And Dr. Brown will be making those appointments. Those come from the senior chief academic officer at each system. So more to come on that. I think that this is where it's great to have an agreement, but like any good relationship, you got to keep on the work to keep things going. So I've said probably more than you want to know about AA or ASTPs, but please continue to put questions in the chat, or again, if you have specific questions around specific institutions and specific courses, please send those my way.
Thank you, Lisa. I think we have a couple more slides left, and we're going to move as quickly as we can as our hour is upon us. So this is just a reminder slide for fall, which is truly upon us at this point, and two important dates of June 1st as being the last date for our program applications for programs starting in fall, and then June 15th as the date for program of study submission. So those I don't think are new dates, and as you know, we certainly understand that life happens, and we have a group of folks who are always willing to do what's needed to help our campuses. So those dates are listed there, but certainly feel free to reach out should the need arise. Our last slide is just a reminder, and again, you will have this slide deck to have these on hand, but they are the email addresses, departmental sort of centralized email addresses to use as opposed to emailing individuals for things, as you can see, like program applications or terminations, for example, course requests, anything regarding our captive programs. Those things would go to these addresses. We do have staff who man and manage those centralized emails, and then that helps them with routing the incoming documents or items to the appropriate person, and at least hopefully helps with keeping things sort of streamlined a little bit, and not someone missing it in their email. It's coming to one centralized place. So I believe that was the last slide for me. So thank you guys so much. And of course, any questions, always happy to help.
so much, Michelle. I just want to acknowledge the question we have from Dr. Sorrells about cyber training. I see you've mentioned Bob. We'll also see that Jaime has volunteered to also be part of that conversation about any cyber training. So thank you for that question. We are always looking for good opportunities to expand training. Okay, so I have just a general slide here. I'm very grateful to Dr. Brown. He has joined us, and I thought this might be a good opportunity for any updates he would like to share or any questions you'd like to ask to the group or to us, to Dr. Brown. So this is the end of our formal agenda, so to speak. And so if you want to unmute Dr. Brown and go ahead and share any updates you might want to share.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. And Dr. Eads, thank you for coordinating, and team, such a great meeting. And the Apple announcement is just so exciting. Just a great opportunity, to say the least. I do not have a lot of formal updates today, as we will hopefully be spending time together on Thursday and Friday. But I will say that we did, and you heard Dr. Eads mention this earlier, we had a great reception and dinner meeting, and she was actually able to attend most of the conference with our transfer partners with independent colleges and universities. And there was so much synergy and high energy and hopefulness surrounding opportunities that we will continue to be able to partner with them on, as relates to providing additional pathways for transfer students who are seeking to attend independent colleges and universities. And so we'll continue to do that work. We'll continue to foster positive relationships with our public universities as well as our private. As you know, we value both. And so we're looking forward to strengthening those relationships. Also, many of you have had colleagues from your various institutions to attend sessions related to the roundtables for the developmental education model and listening sessions, so to speak. And we thank you for sending representatives from your college. We will look to share that information out, all of the data that we have learned from based off of valuable feedback from faculty and student services professionals who have engaged in those conversations in the coming weeks. I think the last session is on March the 29th, so we're about a week out, and our talented colleagues will, combine the data and, break out themes, and we'll have some internal conversations as system office staff. And then one of the next steps we will work towards, and we're currently actually having internal discussions, is that we will form a task force, a work group that will continue to look at the information that we received and figure out what are some of the best parts of the model that have worked as relates to student success, what will we keep, and what are some things that we may need to revise or redesign, so to speak. But one thing that we are on the same page about is we're not throwing the whole model away, so to speak. We're looking to make improvements. We're looking to find out what were some of the strengths, and we will go from there. So that's one thing that we will share with you all, and we'll talk a little bit more in depth later this week about that. But otherwise, Dr. Eads, those are all of the brief updates that I have for today. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, Dr. Brown, and we are excited to see some of you all coming in person to the Greensboro Joint Chiefs meeting. So, gosh, it's just good to see people again. I told folks earlier this week, I feel like I need to walk around with a little box around my face because I've been on a screen all the last year or so. So very, very glad to see real people in person again. Are there any other questions that you all would like to share or comments? This is a good time. We've got about 5 minutes remaining, so happy to field any other questions that you may have. Feel free to unmute. Okay, hearing none, I hope you have a good rest of your day. And to those who will be in Greensboro, we'll see you Thursday and Friday. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, Dr. Bob.
Thank you, Dr. Eads.
Thank you, Dr. Brown.